Hey everyone, welcome to Comic Yahud, your place for classic comic stories. Today's episode, Tintin and the Blue Lotus, Chapter 4. Let's dive in. Inside the opium den, an attendant gestures with a knowing smile, welcoming Tintin into the shadowy depths. The air is thick with the scent of intrigue, and Tintin senses he's on the cusp of uncovering secrets long hidden. Inside the opium den, a man in Tintin with blue robe tends to the needs of a reclining customer, the air filled with a sense of quiet desperation. As a man enters, an attendant informs him that Mr. Mitsuhirato has not yet arrived, but assures him he won't be long. With a courteous gesture, the attendant invites the man to wait in the opium den's mysterious depths. The man decides to wait among the reclining figures, who lie in a haze of smoke and dreams. The room is a strange blend of tranquility and tension, as Tintin quietly observes, ready for the unexpected arrival of Mitsuhirato. In the dimly lit room, Tintin lies on a mat, lost in a dreamlike state, while servant dressed in black approaches front door silently. Breaking the quiet, Mitsuhirato in a trench coat strides in, greeted by a servant who informs him of someone waiting. With a curt acknowledgement, Mitsuhirato's presence startles Tintin, who watches with a mix of curiosity and unease. Mitsuhirato continues past Tintin, who shifts uneasily on his mat, beads of sweat forming on his brow. Tintin in blue robes walks beside a reclining figure, his face a mask of concern as he glances around the room. The atmosphere is heavy with the weight of unspoken words, and the sound of his hurried footsteps breaks the silence as he darts away. With a cautious glance over his shoulder, Tintin, dressed in blue, pauses behind the curtain, straining to catch the conversation unfolding on the other side. His posture tense, he listens intently, every word behind the blue fabric possibly holding a vital clue. In a dimly lit room, two men converse in hushed tones, a stack of money exchanging hands with a grave warning. The tension is palpable as the recipient nods, understanding the deadly stakes of the task ahead. As the two men stride through the dimly lit hallway, they exchange nods with a bowing servant who bids them good night, his voice tinged with respect and trepidation. The air is thick with intrigue as they step confidently into the chilling night outside. Reaching a waiting car under the cloak of darkness, one of the men gestures for the other to get in, their urgency unspoken but understood. The city's shadows seem to cling to them, whispering of the perilous journey they embark upon. Unbeknownst to them, Tintin clings to the back of the car, hidden from view as the vehicle speeds away into the night. The road stretches ahead, fraught with the secrets and dangers that await them in the inky blackness. The car comes to a halt under the shadow of barren trees, the moon casting a ghostly glow over the landscape. A lonely cabin stands in the distance, a silent witness to the unfolding events. Two men step out of the car, one asking if everything is prepared while Tintin warns himself to be careful as they have reached their destination. The urgency in their voices is palpable as they survey the surroundings under the cover of darkness. Peering cautiously from behind the car, Tintin watches as distant figures move purposefully across the barren field. The air is thick with tension, each shadowy figure a potential threat in the eerie silence. The men stand determinedly in the chilling air, one clutching a map while another readies a pickaxe, their intentions clear as they steel themselves for the task ahead. Now then, to work, one declares, his voice cutting through the tense quiet, as the other nods in agreement, the urgency of their mission palpable. Nearby, Tintin crouches low behind a tree, watching the men with an intensity that belies the quiet of the barren landscape. The tension escalates as he inches forward, his presence a silent challenge to the two men engrossed in their clandestine activity. As the two men begin their work, Tintin remains hidden, the distance between them a fragile barrier against discovery. The air is thick with anticipation, each calculated movement echoing the unspoken stakes of their covert operations. Tintin, shivering in the biting cold, peers through the darkness, trying to discern the actions of the men ahead. His breath fogs in the air as he contemplates their mysterious movements, a sense of foreboding creeping in. Suddenly, an explosion shatters the stillness, sending debris flying and lighting up the night with a fiery glow. The observer freezes, the impact of the blast reverberating through the ground as chaos unfolds. In the aftermath, a figure stands triumphantly beside the mangled remains of railway tracks, surveying the destruction with satisfaction. The word "perfect" hangs in the air, a chilling testament to the successful sabotage. Amidst the cold dawn, Mitsuhirato urgently reports the sabotage to Changfu Station, his voice trembling with urgency as he describes the handiwork of Chinese bandits. The gravity of his message hangs heavily as he stands by the isolated tracks, a testament to the chaos unleashed. Nearby, Tintin lies hidden in the grass, shivering from the biting chill, whispering through chattering teeth about the freezing cold that grips him. His discomfort adds a sense of vulnerability to the already tense atmosphere, as he remains watchful and wary. Suddenly, the air is pierced by a loud sneeze, startling both Mitsuhirato at the phone and his companion, who spin around in surprise. This unexpected noise shatters the tense silence, leaving them both momentarily frozen in shock. With a sudden exclamation, Mitsuhirato points accusingly into the distance, declaring the presence of a spy. The other turns swiftly, their hearts pounding as they scan the horizon for the threat. A gunshot echoes through the air, a loud bang cutting through the tension as figures dart across the barren landscape in a frantic chase. Their silhouettes blur against the stark backdrop, each movement driven by desperation and fear. Tintin sprints towards a distant car, hope flickering in his eyes as he thinks, the car. If I can reach it? His feet pound the ground in a race against time, every second precious in this perilous pursuit. Suddenly, Tintin, crashing face first into the ground as desperation turns to shock. The hard earth offers no mercy as he lands with a thud, his hopes dashed in an instant. As he lies dazed, a shadowy figure approaches with deliberate steps, menace in the air. Tintin remains motionless, his world spinning as stars dance around his head. A voice breaks through the haze, urgent and familiar, suffering samurais. Tintin. A stern officer sits at his desk, reading a chilling report from the Ministry of War about an explosion on the Shanghai-Nanking Railway, attributed to Chinese bandits. His expression is grave, reflecting the tension and gravity of the situation. The message continues, stating that the damage to property is not significant, yet the ominous tone suggests underlying concerns. The wires overhead seem to carry the weight of the message, crackling with the urgency of the news. A man in a suit, filled with indignation, reads the report and exclaims, "Not significant. We'll soon see about that." His determination is palpable, foreshadowing the actions he is ready to take in response to the perceived threat. The radio announcer's voice trembled with urgency as he reported from Radio Tokyo about a daring attack by Chinese guerrillas. The news of the treacherous assault on the Shanghai-Nanking Railway sent shockwaves through the listeners. With tension mounting, the report continued, describing how the saboteurs had blown up the railway track. The ominous pylon silhouettes loomed over the chaos, underscoring the gravity of the situation. The narrative grew more harrowing as it unfolded the grim reality that the train was stopped, and the frightened passengers faced a ruthless assault. The atmosphere was thick with dread as the full extent of the attack became clear. The gravity of the situation deepened as reports emerged of many passengers perishing while bravely defending themselves. The horror was palpable, and each word seemed to weigh heavily in the air. The chilling aftermath revealed that 12 Japanese individuals had lost their lives, casting a shadow over the survivors. The attack had left a devastating mark, and the sense of loss was overwhelming. In the chaos, more than 100 bandits made their escape, vanishing into the night with their ill-gotten gains. The night air was thick with despair as justice seemed elusive, leaving only echoes of what had been. The city buzzed with tension as a newspaper vendor shouted the shocking news of a violent bandit attack on a passenger train, leaving many dead. The air was charged with urgency as people scrambled to learn more about the calamity that had struck so close to home. In a rousing speech, a fervent leader reminded the gathered crowd of Japan's duty to uphold law and civilization in the Far East, celebrating the soldiers who had bravely taken up this noble cause. The crowd erupted in patriotic fervor, their spirits ignited by the promise of glory and honor. As the soldiers marched resolutely, their uniforms crisp and flag held high, the shadow of war loomed over them against the ancient stone walls. Determination etched on their faces, they advanced towards an uncertain future, carrying the weight of their nation's hopes and dreams. Above the turbulent sea, mighty battleships cut through the waves, their flags fluttering as planes soar overhead casting ominous shadows. The horizon burns with the promise of conflict, echoing the soldiers' determination from the ancient walls. A massive armored train rumbles along the tracks, its turrets swiveling with menacing precision under a cloud-streaked sky. The ground shudders beneath its weight, mirroring the resolve of the troops advancing on land and sea. Soldiers stand watch over laborers repairing shattered rail lines, their rifles a stark reminder of the war-torn landscape. The setting sun casts a crimson glow, reflecting the unwavering resolve etched on every face as they brace for the battles ahead. In the Grand Chamber of the League of Nations, a fervent speaker justifies the military actions in China, claiming them to be for the country's benefit, as the audience listens with a mix of skepticism and concern. The tension in the room is palpable, with every word echoing the complex web of international politics and unrest. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit car back seat, Mitsuhirato taunts a bound and helpless Tintin, warning of the perils that await those who meddle. Outside a beautifully ornate building, Mr. Wang with concern etched on his face, pondering Tintin's prolonged absence. Snowy, ever loyal, sits beside him, both filled with worry and uncertainty about their friend's whereabouts. Two men stand outside, Mitsuhirato instructing his driver to take the other back to Shanghai, leaving behind a sense of unfinished business with Tintin. Inside a dimly lit room, Tintin is bound to a chair, anxiety gripping him as he wonders what his captors plan to do next. His mind races with possibilities, each more frightening than the last, as he struggles against his bonds. Meanwhile, Mitsuhirato from outside walks, whistling a tune that contrasts sharply with the weight of the situation. Tintin finds himself tied to a chair, confronted by Mitsuhirato, whose polite words contrast sharply with his sinister intentions. Tintin challenges him, seeking clarity on his fate, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. Mitsuhirato, with a cold smile, reveals the isolation of their location on the outskirts of Shanghai, emphasizing the power he holds over Tintin's destiny. His words are laced with menace, making it clear that Tintin's life hangs precariously in the balance. Yet, just as the threat seems most dire, Mitsuhirato unexpectedly announces his decision to let Tintin go, leaving him stunned and unsure of this sudden turn of events. The air is thick with disbelief as Tintin processes this unexpected reprieve from danger. With a mix of relief and suspicion, Tintin watches Mitsuhirato exit the room, leaving him bound to a chair. As Tintin waits, Mitsuhirato approaches, carrying a bottle and a syringe, heightening his anxiety. Tintin can't help but voice his surprise at the bizarre situation. Mitsuhirato reveals the bottle labeled Raja, with a chilling proclamation about its contents. Tintin's heart races as he learns it's the poison of madness, realizing the dire threat he faces. Mitsuhirato looms ominously over Tintin, clutching a syringe with a sinister promise of freedom. Tintin, bound and helpless, feels a cold sweat of terror as his captor's words echo in the air, heightening the tension of his predicament. With a chilling calmness, Mitsuhirato assures Tintin of the minimal dose, his voice dripping with mock concern. Tintin's eyes widen in fear, knowing the real danger that lurks behind those deceptive words. As the needle pierces his skin, Mitsuhirato smugly remarks on the quickness of the act, while Tintin's heart pounds with the fear of impending madness. The realization of his grim fate dawns on him, as he desperately struggles against the creeping dread of losing his sanity. In a dimly lit room, Mr. Wang inquires anxiously about Chang's whereabouts, his concern evident as his assistant regretfully informs him that Chang has not returned. The air is thick with worry as Mr. Wang's mind races with possibilities of what might have befallen them. Meanwhile, Snowy dashes across a dusty path, resolute and determined, his thoughts singularly focused on locating Tintin at all costs. The urgency of his mission propels him forward, driven by loyalty and the fear of losing his beloved friend. Elsewhere, a lively atmosphere fills the room as Mitsuhirato sits, amused, watching a jovial performance. The contrast between the playful scene and the looming danger Tintin faces underscores the precariousness of their situation. Inside the room, Mitsuhirato rises with a mocking grin, holding the arm of a bewildered Tintin in a blue outfit, escorting him out while taunting him with jeers of chicken. Tintin stumbles, his face a mix of embarrassment and defiance, as he struggles to maintain his dignity. Bursting through the doorway, Tintin stumbles into the open air, Mitsuhirato following with a triumphant demeanor. The atmosphere is charged with a mix of humiliation and relief as Tintin's protests turn into a chant of nonsensical bravado, trying to shake off the sting of ridicule. Mitsuhirato stands at the entrance, waving with a dismissive finality, his voice dripping with sarcasm as he bids Tintin farewell. Alone in the street, Tintin is left to confront his own thoughts, the door closing behind him like the end of an unwelcome chapter. Tintin in vibrant blue attire exuberantly tosses confetti into the air, his joyous exclamation echoing through the streets. His optimism seems to momentarily lift the surrounding air, even as the world remains indifferent to his cheerfulness. As Tintin revels, Snowy trots along a winding path lined with sparse trees, his ears perked up and tail wagging. Snowy approaches an imposing gate guarded by soldiers, their presence a reminder of the tension that persists. The man in blue and others pass through, under watchful eyes, as Snowy scampers ahead, unaware of the looming authority. Mitsuhirato stands confidently outside a large door, his expression one of smug satisfaction as he surveys the surroundings. Snowy scampers past a bustling scene, deftly avoiding the legs and packages of those around him. The lively atmosphere contrasts with the tension, as the little dog navigates the chaos with ease. Mr. Wang sits at a table, gazing out the window with concern etched on his face as he wonders about the return of Tintin. His patience wears thin, and the weight of uncertainty looms over him like a shadow. Snowy dashes forward, calling out for Tintin with urgency, his small frame moving swiftly through the crumbling alley. The little dog races across the yard, his barks filled with happiness as he sees his friend amidst growing anxiety. Snowy suddenly halts, startled by Tintin joyfully playing a flute, realizing in disbelief that the man resembles Tintin but is clearly inebriated. Tintin, mimicking an airplane, stumbles with exaggerated movements, shouting he's coming in to land, while Snowy watches in confusion, questioning his sanity. As he dances energetically, singing nonsense with a carefree spirit, Snowy remains bewildered by Tintin's bizarre antics. Finally, Tintin kneels affectionately before Snowy, asking if he thought he'd gone mad, leaving the dog puzzled yet relieved. Tintin stands perplexed, confiding in Snowy about the mysterious needle he was stuck with, wondering why it hasn't affected him. Thanks for watching Comic Yahud. Like, subscribe, and catch you in the next chapter.